All right, so again, welcome. Thanks for being here. My name is Tyler. I work in the Office of Study Abroad in St. Louis. So we're here to talk a little bit about what it's like to study abroad in St. Louis at the main campus in Webster Groves. So here's a photo, a famous kind of shot of downtown St. Louis, where you have the old courthouse with the arch in the background. Definitely something that you'll probably visit and see while you're here. So here's the kind of main campus. Our campus in Webster Groves is by far Webster's biggest campus. So there's a lot of green space and a lot of different buildings. I know some of our other campuses around the world kind of have one main academic building. We have several academic buildings and several, buildings with offices and administrative offices and things like this. But here's a shot of Webster Hall that's kind of the front of campus, kind of the iconic view you see. And you see Webster's very well known in St. Louis as kind of being a global university, because what people see when they drive by is all of these flags from countries all around the world. So we are truly a global institution, as all of you represent Webster students from around the world. So we're happy to have you here in St. Louis with us. So as far as academics are concerned, Webster also, we have in St. Louis, we have the biggest kind of academic portfolio of any campus. So you'll be able to take the list of courses that you'll be able to choose from will be very, very extensive. All of the majors that are offered at our international campuses are also offered here in St. Louis. So if you're a business student, a management student, psychology, media studies, international relations, whatever you're studying at your home campus, you'll be able to take those courses here. We also have the same GCP program in St. Louis that you have for your graduation requirements, but we'll have a much larger listing of courses because we have about 90 different majors that we offer here in St. Louis. So everything from game design to film, television, and video production to economics. To there's a huge list of majors. So you can take courses that count for your roots of cultures that are philosophy or history or ethics classes, or you can take classes for social systems and human behaviors that fall in a huge range of academic disciplines, or natural sciences. You can take biology classes for your physical and natural world credit or anything like that. So there's a huge range of classes that you can choose from to kind of maybe explore extra academic interest while you're here in St. Louis. We divide our campus into 5 different schools and colleges. So we have the College of Arts and Sciences, we have the College of Fine Arts, the School of Communication, the School of Education, and the School of Business and Technology. So yeah, there's a lot of academic programs here in St. Louis. You'll have a lot of courses to choose from. So living on campus in St. Louis, I'll let Ray take over and talk more about this, but study abroad students are required to live on campus in Webster Groves when they come to St. Louis, just so you know, but Ray's the expert on housing, so.
Hi all. So my name's Ray Oliveros. I use she, hers pronouns, and I'm the assignments and billing coordinator for residential life here at the St. Louis home campus. So campus housing, excuse me, we have a few different places on campus that students typically live. We have both residence halls, which if you look at the top photo there, that's an example of a residence hall. So that's a building where you have a lot of students typically living in a double room, which is where you would have a roommate in the same room as you. And then a lot of our apartment spaces have private bedrooms. And obviously in an apartment space, you would also have access to a kitchen that would include like a fridge, a stove, microwave, all of those different things. So the difference between the two with the residence halls, something that people don't necessarily always think about is that there is a meal plan that we have on campus for students that live in the residence halls because they don't have full kitchens like the apartments do. So for those students, each floor of the residence hall of each of the residence halls has a kitchenette, which is just a fridge and then a microwave. There's also a sink at each of those, so students can do kind of general microwave meals and things like that there. But those students living in the residence halls are required to have a meal plan so that they can eat on campus. And then in the apartments, they're not required to have a meal plan. And with that full kitchen, you don't really need one, but you can opt into one if you're interested. So like I said, we have most of the apartments that we have specifically on campus, that would be our Webster Village apartments, have private rooms for residents. So they're either 4-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom apartments, or we have a like kind of studio style apartment, which is called an efficiency style. The efficiencies are typically a shared space with somebody else. So that's like the one apartment space from the Webster Village apartments that you would have a like roommate in that same space. We also do have some single room options in the residence halls, but for the most part, most of our residence hall spaces are double rooms. So you would have a roommate that you would share the room with, and then you share the bathroom of that suite with other people in other rooms in the suite. Excuse me. So all of our campus housing that we have is within a mile or so of campus. We do have 2 apartment complexes that are both about a mile away from the center, essentially, of the home campus in opposite directions, but still within a mile. So it's probably like a 12 to 15-minute walk to each of those apartment complexes from main campus. And if you're a fast walker, it could be shorter. We have one student who lives over there and works in our office, and she says that she can get all the way over here in like 12 minutes, which is a little bit of a hustle, but that's okay. So those apartments do have some single room options available, and some of them also have an entirely like single apartment. So it would just be you living in the one apartment as an option. And then some do have a shared bedroom. So all of our rates and things like that are listed on our website. And I can include that link for you in the chat, so you can look at it at your own leisure, but that has information about the meal plan rate, as well as all of our rates for the spring 2022 semester. And just know that when you're looking at those rates, that's the semester rate. And then generally other things to know with our housing for the spring semester, usually we will have a good portion of our residents that are currently here that choose to study abroad. So we do have spaces that do open up for the spring. The biggest thing to know is that housing is assigned on a first come, first served basis. So if you're really interested in living in an apartment over a residence hall, and you know that you're going to be studying abroad, that type of thing, I would encourage applying earlier rather than later. And then just know too that if something, wouldn't end up working out somehow with like a visa or something like that, that you aren't held to any sort of cancellation fees in that sort of instance, because you can't help whatever happens with a visa. So if you have any questions too, you can always reach out to us. I'll put our email for the office in the chat as well. And we are great at helping and getting quick responses back to you for any questions that you have about housing, living on campus, rates, any of that stuff. So.
Cool, great, thanks. And one other note, so you may see in your application to study abroad too, for those of you who are already in the application process, that there is a link in your application to apply for housing in St. Louis, and we do have to get you added to the system. Basically, all the students that have access to the system are students who are coded as students who are here in Webster Grove. So if you're coming from another campus, but there's directions on how to do that and who to contact. But basically, it's myself and Ray can help you make sure that happens, so you have access to apply for housing in St. Louis. Cool. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about student life as well. Just quick, Ray, do you want to talk about like residence life as far as student life, like activities and social things that are organized through housing?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing to know when you do live on campus is that part of the fees that you would have posted on your student account, one of those would be a student housing activity fee, which is a little bit different than the student activity fee because it's specifically for students that live on campus and the programs that your resident assistants will put on, or like general other programming that happens both within the apartments and within the residence halls for students to participate in. So that is a $60 fee that gets posted on your student account. And it is essentially for your resident assistant to purchase like food, snacks, sometimes games, things like that, but just different ways that you can participate and get to know people that live in your building, get to know people that live on your floor if you're in a residence hall, and really like connect with the community and try some like new and fun things. And you can also like learn quite a bit about what it means to be here at the home campus and just in the US in general from that experience too, and getting to meet a lot of the domestic students that are here on campus. We also do have the Residential Housing Association, I think is kind of like put on the back burner this year because of just not having, I think, as much interest in it for this year. But that is also another way that students typically can also participate more so in programming for their community. And so that could be, if something in a future semester too that you enjoy living on campus and you enjoy being here for like the spring 2022 semester and you want to try it again, in the fall, something like that. The RHA program is a great way for students to incorporate their own ideas for what programming could be put on for students and work with a group for that and get to see some of that action in the things that you get to put on for residents. And you can also, of course, always talk with your resident assistant about things that you are interested in specifically, because they're very open to incorporating if they have an idea for something and they're like, I'm also open to seeing what residents are interested in trying in getting input from you all as well as residents.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. So there's also a lot of other student life things that happen on campus. So there are numerous student-run clubs on campus that are organized by students. At the beginning of the semester, there are certain events to kind of familiarize you with that. So we just a couple weeks ago had an involvement fair where there's just tables lined up in the gym of the clubs and organizations on campus that students can just come in and walk in and see what types of activities there are to get involved in. There's other campus event series with entertainers, with speakers, and people that come to campus and do big events. We've had some quite famous people come to campus and talk about things from authors to musicians to politicians that come to campus and do kind of a series of events on campus here in St. Louis. We also there's a theater that's right here on campus. The Rep Theater in St. Louis has professional shows that students have access to tickets, and the theater is located right here in Webster Groves on campus. We do have athletic teams as well. So that's something that's maybe kind of a bit different, a unique thing to kind of US college culture is kind of the athletics associated with it. So if you do play a sport, you definitely have the ability to come here and play recreationally. We have facilities, a gym and workout facilities and swimming pool and things that students have access to. And you can exercise and play recreational and intramural level stuff. But the varsity sports are a pretty big time commitment that students do. That's not really something that's intended for students who are only going to be here for a semester, but definitely as spectators, students can go and watch Webster compete against other universities from around the United States. So that's something that's fun to kind of participate in, even just as a spectator to cheer on Webster. And then there's other things that just happen on campus and events all the time that you can stay plugged into. Especially if you're coming at the beginning of the semester, there'll be a lot of things to kind of get students engaged until you kind of get to know your way around and find out the groups and organizations on campus that you want to be plugged in with. And then there's also, this is another great source of programming on campus. So MCISA stands for the Multicultural Center and International Student Affairs. So they have this little house that's located on campus, and their staff is responsible for supporting international students while they're here on campus in Webster. So this isn't just study abroad students. We have international students who come here to pursue their degrees and are here for 4 years. They also support domestic diversity. So there's a lot of different students and things that they just support the overall general student body here, but are also great point people for study abroad students to help you with cultural transition and settling into life here in St. Louis, as well as they provide a lot of fun events and programming for students, as well as sometimes they do field trips to places around St. Louis, to places outside of St. Louis, to get to go kind of on organized excursions with other students to see sites here in the United States. So definitely a good group to get plugged in with. They'll also the group that's responsible for organizing a new international student orientation. So you'll have a chance to get connected with MCISA as soon as you arrive here in St. Louis. And then outside of campus in St. Louis, so maybe you're familiar with St. Louis, maybe you're not. So the United States is quite large. So the idea of traveling to other places is definitely possible, and you should do it while you're here. But things are a bit farther away. You know, people might be more familiar with a larger city like Chicago, which is very close to St. Louis by US standards, but very close is about 5 hours away by train or bus or car. So we are right here in the middle of the United States, right on the Mississippi River. It is very much it's a big city, but kind of a small town that a lot of people that are from here, you run into people that you know when you're out in public. There's a lot of cool cultural activities in St. Louis that they say that after Washington, D.C., that St. Louis has the second most free entertainment in the country. Most of our museums are free to get into. Our zoo is free to get into. There's a lot of outdoor concerts that they do. If you come in the warmer months, there's a lot of concerts that are organized in parks and gardens around the city to where you can go and see live music for free. This weekend, there's the balloon race. I'm actually heading there myself this afternoon after work in Forest Park. So Forest Park houses a lot of free activities like the zoo, the history museum, the art museum, that's all free. There's also an outdoor theater that's the largest outdoor theater in the United States, and it's not free, but you can go for free if you wait in line for tickets. They reserve a certain number of tickets to see shows in the summertime for free. And it's actually larger than Central Park in New York. So it's maybe less famous, but it's a huge urban park, one of the largest urban parks in North America. Sports are a big deal here if you're into it. The Cardinals are on their playoff push right now. We're hoping to make the playoffs. The regular season wraps up in a couple of weeks. And Cardinals have won, the second most World Series behind the New York Yankees. St. Louis Blues, a professional hockey team, just won the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago. So there's a lot of things to get plugged in here. You see another photo of the Arch downtown. Here's a photo of the Botanical Gardens in St. Louis. Is not free, but there's times that you can get into it for free if you go at certain times, and they host various festivals and things like that here. There's some really cool international festivals too, especially in like September. If you're planning on coming in the fall semester, there's some really cool international festivals in St. Louis, and all things like that are free as well. So there's a lot of things that you can get. There's a lot of things going on. Definitely when you get here, talk to people who are from here, and come talk to myself, talk to MCISA, ask people what's going on. If you want to see music, if you want to see a play, if you want to go to a park, all of those things exist. It might be a little bit harder to find in St. Louis than in a place like being in Washington, D.C. or New York City or something like that. But all of those opportunities are here. So definitely just ask someone where to look, and St. Louis can be a really great place to spend a semester. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.